Hello, I'm Jason Carl. I'm the Dean of Dungeon Master University. And Dungeon Master University is a new 2-day symposium style event brought to you by Tabletop Vacations, the official licensee vacation company for Wizards of the Coast. And these are the same wonderful people that have brought you uh, D&D at a Castle and D&D weekends. I'm here today with Elisa Teague, who is going to be one of our Dungeon Master faculty professors. Boy, that's a mouthful.
It is.
And Elisa is going to be one of the professors who will be teaching our coursework on career building.
Yes.
So, before we dive deep into the building of a career in Dungeons and Dragons, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Elisa? Maybe, you know, where you've been with D&D and what it means to you, how you got started.
Oh, sure. Well, I've been playing D&D for 36 years. I got started because my older brother played D&D. It was second edition at the time. And he had moved on. He was going through a new phase in life and he was getting rid of all of his like heavy metal records and his D&D games and everything like that and all of his fantasy novels. And I was looking through them and I saw that cover and I was like, "Oh wow, what is this?" And I was hooked ever since. And so I've been playing since I was 13 years old, and I actually have gone through a couple different groups. Luckily, I had a D&D group at like a D&D club at my junior high school. I was very lucky to escape the whole satanic panic thing. And then I started playing with a group of guys that I still play with. We've been playing together for almost 30 years, and we still have weekly home games.
You're
When are they
still
down?
playing together?
Yes, yes. We have
Is
a game on Saturday.
in the same campaign, or have there been many campaigns?
There have been many campaigns, yes, but we've had very long campaigns, 8 years long and then some.
Well, in addition to having a long a long history with Dungeons& and Dragons, you are, and let's not mince words, you are a professional's professional when it comes to the tabletop role-playing game industry. You're someone that your fellow DMs all respect, as someone who knows the ins and outs of how to build a career
Mm.
in this business, and someone that we know that will always give us good advice about problems that we may be having. So, as you start to think about, and I realize you haven't had a lot of time yet to think about the actual course you're going to teach, but as you start to think about it, um, how might you want to shape a course about building a career that follows that professional track?
Well, when I think about building a career in this industry, obviously being a professional means you're getting paid for your work, right? And having a career to me means, yes, you may have a day job and you want to do this on the side, but also build up a portfolio of work that you've published. And that's what I'm thinking of. But also, how do you take that from a full-time career like I have. I've been in the tabletop gaming industry for 25 years.
Yes.
I started in board games and card games, but about almost 10 years ago, I switched primarily to RPGs with one of my first things ever writing for publications for RPGs was for Wizards of the Coast.
Okay.
And so ever since then, it's been kind of nonstop for me for all sorts of RPGs.
I think that the fact that you are not only just getting paid for work, but this is your career, this is your
Mhm.
full-time job, is remarkable because, of course, that doesn't happen very often. But I do think it's fair to say that many dungeon masters wonder how it's done, or at least maybe what they should start thinking about. So, with your course, which draws on your own vast experience, can you talk just for a minute about, at a really high level, about what kind of dungeon master should take your course?
I think anybody who has been writing their own adventures, especially,
Okay.
or wants to take ideas that they've had from running pre written adventures to that phase and then perhaps creating their own stories for publication beyond that. Anybody who wants to see what it is like, what does it take, how much are you paid, what is it like to self publish, what is it like to pitch to other RPG companies,
Okay.
how do you get yourself out there, um, pretty much how to negotiate your contracts, everything.
Right. That's true. I hadn't thought
Mhm.
about that. And like you, I'm a professional in the business, but um, it is not my full-time career as a creator. And so it just now occurred to me that the professional DM who tries to build a career, an actual full-time job, they have to be their own accountants, they have to be their own lawyers, they have to be their own salespeople, their own public relations managers, their own social media managers.
It's very true.
How do you balance all that?
Well, for lawyers, I do recommend everybody getting a lawyer.
Okay,
It is
fair
it is pretty important.
fair
I
enough.
will say that. But that doesn't mean that once you have done that a few times, you don't recognize certain clauses in contracts.
Okay.
And I think putting that in the curriculum is a pretty good idea. Is talking about what types of things to watch out for in your contracts, what types of things to make sure is in there for your protections. Because I have been on the author side. I've also been on the publisher side. So for a long time, I was also producing and publishing RPGs. So I kind of know both sides of this situation and what each way, like what you need to do to go along each way.
Let's dig down a little bit deeper into something that you just said because I think it's pretty interesting. You've been on the publisher side as well. Do you think you'll be able to talk to your Dungeon Master students a little bit about what publishers look for in the people they work with?
That is what I intend to do. I think that's really
Okay,
important.
good.
Yeah,
That's very
absolutely.
important too. It's good. I'm glad to hear that because I think it's not a well understood area of the business that we're in. And anything that you can do, I think, to demystify it for people will help a lot. We often hear dungeon masters at D&D in a castle or D&D weekend say, I just do not know where to start. I want to do it, but I have no idea what the first steps. I don't even know where to go for help. So
Mm.
I think you're probably going to get some of those dungeon masters too. And
I hope so.
I hope so too.
Anybody can do it. You just need to follow steps to do it. If you're already DMing your games, you already have that creativity in you.
Yes.
It's getting those words out on paper that is really the roadblock for a lot of people. And so I intend to cover everything from following writer style guides, how to actually sit down and focus and write, how to organize your adventures for publication. I can speak on all of those things. And so I think it would be really great to design a class and a course that will address all of those topics so you know how to get where I am.
When dungeon masters, come to you for assistance at D&D Dungeon Master University, one of the things that they might have an opportunity to do is come to your office hours,
Mhm.
and that's just a chunk of time dedicated to one-on-one with you and the student, and they get to bring you questions that they have, problems they're trying to solve. Um, Issues that are bewildering them or maybe, really pointed ideas, pointed questions about ideas that they have.
Mhm.
Can you talk a little bit about the one-on-one part of education in terms of building a career?
Well, I actually really love one on one consultation. I am a mentor in the industry. And so I've actually guided quite a few people into their careers. And so I'm looking forward to that part a lot because I love to be able to answer people's questions and address whatever is putting something in their way from success. I want to lift everybody up and open the door for everyone.
I have to admit, even though that I'm also a professional in the business, hearing us talk about it like this, it all sounds a little daunting and maybe even a little overwhelming. But you also mentioned earlier that people can learn to do this.
Yes.
And, how do they gain that confidence that you have?
I think we all we all have a side of confidence, and then we all have that imposter syndrome,
Of course.
and really moving past that imposter syndrome, knowing that people like me, I still have it every single time I pitch, every single time I finally hit send to send my document to whichever publisher. I always have that little bit of angst in me, but it's getting over that that allows you to actually put that pen to paper, not that anybody's really putting pen to paper anymore, but put those fingers on your keyboard. But you know what I mean. And I think that yes, it might be a little overwhelming to hear me speak about this, but it is doable. I have certainly done it, and so many other people. We have so many creators in the industry, and they all came from the same place, which was sitting around a table with their friends, playing a game.
Well, speaking of sitting around a table playing with your friends,
Mhm.
I appreciate the segue. Um, One of the other educational offerings we have at Dungeon Master University is the audit game. And that is each night there'll be 16 tables available, and there'll be a place reserved for the dungeon master at each table. And the dungeon master is one of our students. That's one of our platinum tier students. And the other players are their fellow dungeon masters. But also at the table is one of our professional faculty DMs. And our dungeon masters will have a chance to run their home game for you and get feedback on it. Um, could you tell us a little bit about how you see that kind of approach as part of learning to build a career? Because I think it probably has a very specific place.
I think for me, from the career building side of like that track of this Dungeon Master University, I think that I would be looking for what types of things run the story into an encapsulated
Okay.
one shot. What could you possibly edit? What makes the pacing of your story good, especially for the publication side, or even for the I'm running this professionally at a table because obviously I do professional DMing at
Yes.
D&D in a castle, and so that's probably what I would mostly be looking for. But, for me, uh, no matter what type of game it is, I always have play testers every single time. I always play test everything. And I would look at this kind of like a play test session. And I usually give everybody, a form to fill out afterwards
Okay.
where they do a review. And that's basically the form that I would probably be using myself.
That is super interesting. I'm not sure it occurs to a lot of dungeon masters who aspire to becoming professionals in this business that they need to test their material.
Oh, yeah. I, I know that that's the truth because I've received a lot of submissions because I've also been
I
that
was
person.
just about to ask. Okay. I would imagine then that you're going to be able to talk, at least at a high level, to your students about a lot of the pitfalls they're going to face. Can you think of a few things you might want to let them know before they come to your course?
I mean, at the high level, and I'll get into details in the course, but what it is like to pitch and then have a rejection. What do you do when you have that rejection?
Wow.
Yeah, no, it happens. It happens a lot. It has happened to me a lot. But
Happens to us all.
but it also means you go to the correct place for your material because maybe that company wasn't the right publisher for you.
Okay.
And so I can talk about how to identify those companies, how to know when their open windows are for submissions and things like that, which companies do submissions and which companies absolutely will not, because you'll save yourself a lot of time
Hmm.
if you don't pitch to companies that
Okay.
never hire contractors or something like that.
What about events and conventions? You attend an extraordinary number of events and conventions.
Probably too many.
And I have heard dungeon masters ask us, do I need to go to conventions? Should I be looking for certain things out of it? Do you consider that an essential part of building a career in the business, or is it a nice to have?
It is I would say that it is somewhat essential,
Okay.
but between that and nice to have, I think that you don't need to go to all of them. There are a few where, you have a lot more focused attention, where you can start meeting other people in the industry,
Yes.
where it's easy to meet people in the industry and actually hang out with them and play games with them, and I do feel that going to conventions as often as you can afford, because it does get expensive,
Of course.
will allow you to be seen. And once people get to know your face, they will open up a lot. And I definitely think that that is a thing.
Is it important to meet, your fellow professionals in these spaces, or are you just focused on getting in front of publishers?
For me, it's meeting fellow professionals. I mean,
Okay.
yes, it's publishers as well because they'll also know you. They'll also start to recognize you.
Sure.
But being in front of other professionals is what will allow you to make that into friendships, get maybe a mentor like me, um, being able to show your work to them and ask questions. And also, there are a lot of people like me that are hyphenates, right? Or whatever they call them now, multi hyphenates,
Mhm.
where yes, I'm an author, but I also, over the course of my career, have worked for a couple different publishers. I also DM, I also do all of these things, and I can kind of guide you depending on which area you're aiming for to the right other people because we all know everybody in the industry. It's kind of
Yes,
like a
of course.
the hobby industry is a very like close knit kind of family industry.
Oh, yes.
It's easy to say, "Oh, you know what? This isn't for me, but maybe it's for somebody else." And so in that way, I think it's important to start building those bridges for sure.
As you were just speaking about your experiences and the importance of, being with your fellow professionals and
Mhm.
building those relationships, I couldn't help but think, okay, that's great. But when you go home, you got to get back to work.
Yeah.
I was just trying to imagine, I mean, you're an incredibly well read person. I was trying to imagine what the Elisa Teague reference library must look like in your home. And is it as vast and eclectic as I think it is?
So, I I talk about this, it's a little embarrassing. I have a medieval tavern game room in my backyard. This is a separate building in my
Embarrassing.
backyard.
I would brag about this if I.
And so, I think I've lost count. I have right around 2,000 board games, and I have no idea. Hundreds, hundreds and hundreds of books for sure. RPG books, if that's what you're talking about specifically, reference guides and everything. As far as regular books are concerned, I don't even know how to begin counting. There are books on every single shelf everywhere. Um, but yes, I have everything from pretty much every. Not, I don't have a lot of the first edition everything, but I have full collections of everything, especially third and beyond. Even the leather bounds, all of those things, all the way to like, other TTRPGs for different IPs. The one that I always point out that I think is the funniest one that I have is the WWE Know Your Role
Oh
RPG.
my.
Yeah, I have everything. I know so many people, and I know so many people in the industry, and so over the years, like I always support my friends. I buy their books. And so, I have everything. You need something, I have it.
Supporting your friends, I think, is a crucial topic. You talked about attending conventions, spending time with your professionals, but I would imagine that being a professional in this space means ideally having a support network of friends and fellow professionals. Have you found that to be the case? And is it
Some of my best friends.
super important?
Yeah,
Okay.
some of my best friends in the world are people that I've met by being in this industry, 100%. I do travel a lot. I go to so many different conventions, and I feel I am on the road more than I am home a lot of times. And so I see it's like every single stop. I see all my friends in all the cities around the country, even the ones that live in my home county, and then when I don't see them there, but I see them at every single
Sure.
convention. So,
You and I both live in Los Angeles. We see each other at conventions.
yes.
That's how it works.
Mhm.
Fascinating. I really hadn't thought about it until you framed it that way. So I really appreciate you giving me so much to think about in terms of career building and career direction. Changing course within the career, though, must be particularly challenging. You set out to do, professional writing,
Mhm.
but now you want to be a publisher. Um, Easy leap or difficult?
I say difficult leap, but there are secrets to it. And again, that's something that I would love to be able to address.
Okay.
There are so many different ways to publish, especially now. Self-publishing used to be really daunting. Now there are so many different ways between digital platforms and even if you want to publish your own analog book,
Sure.
there's Kickstarter and other crowdfunding options. There are so many different ways you can go about it, and then, of course, going and, work I can tell the difference between working with a publisher and self-publishing, and I actually do a panel series on this, and so
Okay.
I can speak to that for sure.
See, I I know that people look up to you in this business, and I know that you've given a lot of good advice over the years to people because I know this because they tell me.
Oh, that's
And
very nice.
we're almost out of time, but if you could give a piece of advice to the dungeon masters who might be considering your course or signing up for the career building course at Dungeon Master University, what would you want to tell them? What would you want them to know?
I would want to tell you, start writing. Start writing anything, even if it isn't your adventure, even if it isn't anything that has to do with RPGs. Just start putting words into your computer. Just start doing it. The more you write, the more you're going to feel at ease and understand your own voice in things. And what comes with that is also reading. Read lots of different RPG books. See how other authors frame their stories. Look at the pacing. Look at the words that they use. Look at the types of stories that they are telling, and then keep writing yourself, because if you never start, you're never going to start.
Thank you very much for making such a complicated and daunting topic sound really exciting and approachable. I look forward to working with you on Dungeon Master University, and I look forward to seeing you there. I'm going to say farewell for us now. Um, Dungeon Master University takes place in January 2026. It's on January 2nd and 3rd. The location is Oglethorpe University in Atlanta, Georgia. So we'll be hosting our classes on an actual university campus. And registration information, course information, schedules when they become available, and all of the different pieces of this event that you need to know to register and sign up and get the most out of it are available on our website and at the links associated with our video. Thank you very much.